This is 7 News, the voice of the New England.
Tonight, the federal government scraps critical funding for local projects.
A new aviation school opens its doors in the New England.
I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on this news hour, you'll see the damning hit-run video as tensions boil over the Israel-Hamas war. And Qantas found guilty of standing down a worker at the start of COVID.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. Funding for 50 infrastructure projects will be slashed as the federal government reins in spending after the $120 billion pipeline was facing a $33 billion cost blowout.
A recent independent review found major problems in the way governments plan key infrastructure. But today's decision has put several projects in our region on the chopping block. Rex Quayle joins us now from Tamworth. And Rex, what local projects are in the firing line?
Maddie, 3 projects in our region will now not receive funding from the federal government as they look to save $7 billion, which will go to other nation-building projects. Funding has been pulled for a $10 million project for Gwydir Highway improvements, a $44 million Moree intermodal overpass, and a $7.8 million Northern New South Wales inland port in Narrabri. Infrastructure Minister Catherine King claims the tough decisions are necessary to grow the economy while not adding to inflationary pressures. Country mayors say the funding cuts will force people out of jobs and out of towns.
I mean, we will re-examine this project. It's too important a project to just write it off. But this council doesn't have the kind of money to, inject tens of millions of dollars into a project. At best, the last decade is a case study of what governments should not do. Under the Liberals and Nationals, the number of projects increased from nearly 150 to over 800.
New South Wales Government's Treasurer Daniel Mookhey cannot guarantee that these projects will go ahead now that major funding has been cut.
Thanks for the update, Rex. Rex Quayle reporting there for us tonight.
A new aviation school has soared into Armidale, providing top-quality flight training to aspiring local pilots. White Star Aviation has locked in a contract with Torres Strait Air and they're offering jobs on completion.
The rapid growth of global air travel has led to a surge in demand for pilots. Armidale Regional Council jumped at the opportunity to have an aviation school.
It's terrific. They're looking to build up to about 50 students here in Armidale, and they're not all Armidale locals. So being based here, they'll be in the community. White Star Aviation weighed up both Tamworth and Armidale as a location. Already establishing a base in Ballina, they're looking to spread across the state. We are still looking to expand into more regions, but Armidale Council, the process was so easy. They're offering vet cadetships and diplomas and allow students to fly recreationally, commercially and privately. The school's partnership with Torres Strait Air will give cadets full-time employment at the end of their training in Horn Island. Flying a lot, they build their hours very quickly. They get into a multi-engine aeroplane, which is quite desirable very quickly. The school also provides accommodation in Armidale and is hoping to have 50 full-time students by 2025. Having a smaller ratio to instructors to student just allows us to have a lot more contact time with one student and just go over the more nuanced things about learning how to fly that often get overlooked. Olivia Babb, 7 News.
A full-scale emergency response is being thrown at a major bushfire northwest of Walgett. There are reports tonight that multiple structures have been lost.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good at all. A scary situation bearing down on the Glengarry and Growan Opal mining communities northwest of Walgett. Staring them in the face is the large wall of smoke billowing into the sky. This was last night, a terrifying red glow behind houses, while some residents evacuated to Lightning Ridge. Those who stayed behind to protect their properties kept an anxious vigil on the blaze. The Hudson Fire has burnt more than 20,000 hectares of land, leaving the mark of ash stained across the countryside.
It was pretty bad out there. We did lose a couple of structures out there.
How much damage is unknown, prompting building assessment teams to be called in. So too support from Dubbo, Coolah, Coonamble and Gulgong fire and rescue crews. At Walgett Airport today, a fleet of water-bombing aircraft were primed to head to the fire ground as southwesterly winds and high temperatures pushed the fire further towards Grawin.
Unfortunately, what we've seen in the last few days is the fire tends to spot quite rapidly because the fuel's so dry out there and with the wind picking up.
Conditions to make it another stressful night for firefighters on the ground. Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
The New South Wales government has made good on its promise to scrap the state's emergency service levy. Much to the delight of families and local council, the change will lower the cost of insurance premiums, with the government hoping more people will cover their home for fire and flood damage. The move will slash 15% off the base premium for households, saving locals $260 on their bill.
A new interactive safety map has been launched in New South Wales aimed at identifying spots where women and gender diverse people feel unsafe. It's hoped the data collected will lead to real change and help inform more safety campaigns.
Dark streets and isolated areas can make women feel uneasy, scared or unwelcome. Women and gender diverse people are being asked to mark locations on a map where they feel unsafe.
It's easy to talk about women's safety without really considering what that means day to day for women.
Your Ground was launched in New South Wales on Wednesday. The project began in Victoria in 2021.
When we feel safe or unsafe, it really affects how we behave. It affects where we go and how we choose to get there.
500 spots have already been identified in New South Wales.
A lot of those areas are not covered by mobile, and so not to feel safe with not enough lighting and not enough people around, and also not to be able to call for help, it simply isn't good enough.
In Armidale, Central Park was rated to have good lighting with plenty of wide paths. Environmental factors and unsafe encounters can make up just some of the concerns for women.
A recent survey by Transport for New South Wales showed 90% of women feel unsafe in public spaces after dark.
Simply a lack of understanding of how a woman's world is impacted by that safety. I think it's very hard for men to understand that, and I don't think enough has been done.
The data will be collected until February next year. It will be used with different levels of governments to implement and change policies for women's safety.
It's really important for us to understand the perceptions of safety of women and gender diverse people in regional areas and why, so that we can develop tailored responses.
Olivia Babb, 7 News.
The New South Wales government united in Sydney today over the rising concerns of teenage vaping. Schools across the region have also been tackling the vape craze, with some even installing vape detectors to help stop students.
The lung killer disguised like a lolly. Vapes have been proven to have direct health risks, including nicotine addiction, nicotine poisoning and lung damage.
Those that make vapes are deliberately targeting kids with the sorts of products they are, with flavours, with colours and those sorts of things. So it has become a problem.
Who can say that this is not targeted for the youth audience? This is not aimed at our older generation.
The New South Wales government hosted a vaping roundtable today, searching for solutions to stop the rise of vaping in schools. Authorities have recently been cracking down on illegal sales, part of a nearly $7 million plan to curb the spread. Over the first half of this year alone, 180,000 vapes were seized, 3 times the amount compared to last year.
It really is a bit of a soul-destroying task because of a massive supply. 1
in 4 regional kids say they vape. Calrossie Anglican School installed vape detectors to try and stop this new craze.
They're different. They don't look like cigarettes. They can be put in pockets. It's a whole different world.
Educators and health professionals say prevention is a multi-pronged approach. Solutions at the roundtable revolved around educational techniques to make kids aware of the dangers of vaping.
Let's talk to kids. Let's have conversations. Kids are not going to be scared off by the scare tactics. but I think let's develop a partnership between parents, between schools, between health experts.
Rex Quayle, 7 News.
Royal Lifesaving Australia is urging parents of young children to be aware of the risks of drowning this summer. Its research shows the drowning risk for young children peaks in summer, with 38% of all deaths occurring between December and February.
It's typically a time spent relaxing by the pool or the beach. This year should be no different. However, parents of young children are being warned to be extra careful this summer. Recent Royal Lifesaving research shows the drowning risk triples when a child turns 1.
Many parents are caught by surprise just how mobile children can be when they're crawling and walking. If you've got a backyard swimming pool or perhaps a lake or dam on the property, this can be highly dangerous for children.
Mr Scarr says there's plenty that can be done to reduce the amount of drownings across the state.
The key messages for parents are to keep watch constantly, watch your children around water, to fence your backyard swimming pool and make sure that the gate is in good working order.
As well as ensuring children learn how to swim.
I think kids are never too young to get into the water with mum and dad under supervision, and then obviously once they get to a certain age, organised swimming lessons are a great way to start.
And they're never too young to learn. Parents are also advised to know CPR in case of emergency.
Of course, swim and survive lessons are wonderful. They encourage your children to enjoy the water and enjoy the water safely. And then learn CPR. You never ever want to use it, particularly on your own child, but it can save a life.
In New South Wales, 164 children aged from 0 to 4 drowned between July 2002 and June 2022. 75% of those occurred after falling into a body of water.
A number that's dropped dramatically, but still a number that remains too high.
Yeah, over the last 20 years, we've in fact reduced child drowning by 56%. So drowning is absolutely preventable.
Hugh Pearson, 7 News.
Well, Kirsty is here now for a look at how today's weather's stacked up. And Kirsty, it's been a bit humid out there today with a couple of showers about.
Yes, that's right. The showers and the heat, Nick and Maddie. Hello to you both and good evening, everyone. We have seen showers early this morning, only scattered between 0.5 millimetre and 1 millimetre, registered around Armidale and Inverell between 4 a.m. and 7 this morning. Sweeping cloud moved through also this morning, with conditions becoming mostly overcast into the afternoon. Temperatures well into the high 20s and again persisting in the high 30s, accompanied by windy weather. West to northwesterlies gusted up to 40 kilometres an hour today. That influenced extreme fire danger ratings for the northwest and northern slopes. Total fire bans do remain in place until midnight. The Hudson Fire burning northwest of Walgett at Watch and Act. Cloudy tonight, more showers moving through this evening with cooler conditions tomorrow. I'll have the forecast shortly, guys.
Thanks, Kirsty. See you in a couple of minutes.
Up next in 7 News, Australia Post gets ready for a busy festive season.
And a local beef producer wins a prestigious award.
And a little later on this news hour, a heated service station clash over tensions in the Middle East. Plus, fresh turbulence for the flying kangaroo, found guilty of unlawfully standing down a worker. And the Aussies prepare for tonight's Cricket World Cup semi-final. That is against South Africa. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back. A local beef producer has gone big on the world stage. Tamworth's Jacks Creek has been crowned the world's best steak. Quite a mighty achievement for a family company run by 3 generations.
These steaks at the Jacks Creek Tamworth warehouse might be rare, but they're certainly very well done. The local beef company cleaned up at the World Steak Challenge in London, winning World's Best Sirloin, Oceania's Best Steak and the top gong of World's Best Steak for the 3rd time after wins in 2015 and 2016.
I was actually at the gym, surprisingly. I had my phone in my pocket while I was supposed to be doing a little bit of a workout. But yeah, I was very anxious.
Patrick Warmel's grandfather, John Francis, started farming in Breeza in the late 1940s, where they remain to this day. They now sell in over 30 countries and process around 55,000 cattle a year. The Wagyu Cross Sirloin gave them the world title in 2023.
From the back of the animal, it's a single muscle, So yeah, it's a very consistent piece of meat.
Jacks Creek hasn't avoided Australian beef market struggles, including skinnier cattle and high production costs. But Patrick predicts Australia's main competitor, the US, is about to enter a herd rebuilding phase, reducing American exports.
That will be favourable for Australian beef, and that's when we will see cattle prices and beef prices in Australia improve.
With around 80 years' experience, the Warmals certainly have a good idea how best to prepare their meat. Patrick doesn't add any garnishes, saying the world's best steak is so pure, just chucking it on the barbecue is enough.
Just keep it simple. So I like to cook on a medium heat, but before that I like to rest the meat, get it to room temperature, lightly oil, season with salt.
Rex Quayle, 7 News.
Australia Post has announced it'll start delivering on weekends in the lead up to the festive season. From Saturday, some regional areas will benefit from the service. To give items the best chance of arriving on time, parcels should be sent by Monday the 18th of December. Weekend deliveries will remain in place until Christmas.
Up next in 7 News, the Group 4 chairman steps down from the top role.
And the state's best bush cricketers arrive in Tamworth.
Three teams have been tasked with ending Newcastle's historic reign in bush cricket. The Country Bash kicked off in Tamworth today with little more than bragging rights going on the line.
Some of the state's best bush cricketers collide in Tamworth. The Country Bash getting underway this morning with North Coastal playing Newcastle and Central North taking on Greater Illawarra.
But basically we're trying to pick the most in-form 13-plus cricketers in the zone to represent.
Central North had the home ground advantage at number 1 Oval, but couldn't take charge early on.
Good.
Across town at Riverside, North Coastal was dealt a tough hand, tasked with knocking off the favourites, Newcastle.
We know that Newcastle are quality across the park. We know that they've got multiple country players. The quality cricket at Newcastle is much better than it is anywhere else in country cricket. So this is just another game of cricket for Newcastle.
Their tactic was to bring a young side to Tamworth. 5 new players getting their first taste of representative cricket.
Some of these guys are new to this environment, so that's exciting for them. And it's also a good test to see where they're at and where we're at in terms of our development of our players across the North Coastal zone.
Despite the new blood, it was Newcastle who showed their dominance early, blitzing through the openers. After that, captain Alec Williams was dismissed. On the line today is a chance to play at Sydney Showgrounds Stadium. The winners here will play the Southern Pool's victors in January to be crowned the Country Bash champions. Max Gent, 7 News.
It's a new dawn for Group 4 Rugby League with Chairman Terry Sarakis stepping down after 3 years in charge. Terry says it's time to pass the reins on to someone else as he takes a step back to focus on work and his family.
The now former Group 4 chairman, Terry Sarakis. He called time on his reign in the top job on Sunday.
I've just put in 3 years as chairman, really enjoyed it. I think it's just time to move on and let someone else have a go.
There were plenty of highlights during his time, but what the competition achieved during a difficult few years is what Terry is most proud of.
Well, the first year I actually got on, but COVID struck straight away, so we couldn't even play competition. We introduced the Wedge Nines, which was a great success.
Because of those decisions, Terry believes he's leaving Group 4 in a better position than when he started. And with Wee War Panthers looking to return, the competition's future looks bright.
It's probably going against the trend a bit of with regional rugby league. 9 clubs that would be very, very good. And hopefully somewhere down the line, Manila might come back in as well and be able to make it 10.
Whilst local rugby league will carry on in his absence, Terry will continue to administrate cricket in the region. But he admits that he could soon step away from that as well.
One more year of that as well, to be honest. I think it's starting to get towards the end of my administrative duties. But never say never. We'll see what happens.
The Group 4 board is expected to make a decision on Terry's replacement in coming weeks. Max Gent, 7 News.
Up next in 7 News, Kirsty is back and she's got your weather forecast. That's next.
Hello again, everyone. A trough line between the northern inland and the coast is generating showers and some thunderstorm activity. This will link up with strong southerly flow around the eastern seaboard, while conditions remain calm and settled over western inland regions. But a trough over Queensland will gain strength and move into the state early next week, bringing rainfall from Sunday. Now, the heaviest showers are still currently forecast around the Queensland border region. The New England and northwest, though, can expect around 50 to 70 millimetres over the coming week. Up to 100 millimetres, though, is possible in our northern regions if severe thunderstorms develop. Firstly, though, let's see what is on our forecast for the end of the working week tomorrow, and we can expect partly cloudy skies, those warm temperatures with sunshine at times. Maximum sitting around the mid-30s in the west and just the low 20s in the east. That's with a chance of late showers and possible storms. Armidale tomorrow, a top of 22, and we could see up to 8 millimetres of rain. Breezy winds 35 kilometres an hour in the morning before easing off and shifting direction during the afternoon. Our Saturday looks a little more settled before more rainfall on Sunday. Clear conditions, 10 overnight to a maximum of 31 degrees on the way for Tamworth, with those southeasterly winds up around 30 kilometres an hour. Those winds tending northeasterly and easing into the evening. Glen Innes a partly cloudy 24. Similar for Sunday, but with more widespread cloud, and once again that chance of thunderstorms developing during the afternoon and evening. A slight shower here or there. There is about a 30% chance of some wet weather developing. A quick look ahead now. Heavier showers forecast through Tuesday and into mid next week. Plenty of welcome wet weather on the forecast following a hot and sunny Friday and weekend.
Good to see the rain. Thanks, Kirsty. See you later.
And that is all we have time for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can catch up on our website or at 7plus.
Right now, though, Dan has your national news. Have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow night from 6 o'clock. See you there.